Jane was inches from Reese's mouth when the alpha caught her shoulder and stopped her. Heat flooded her face, until his hand slid down to her wrist. Stay. Her heart jumped. Then came the twist. He did not want her as his lover. He wanted her as nanny to his children. Jane walked away convinced Reese felt nothing for her. She had no idea that once his bedroom door closed, the powerful shifter was fighting a hunger for her he could barely control. Chapter 1. Jane cannot remember a time when she did not see ghosts. They are everywhere, if a person knows where to look. They linger at street corners, stare back from reflections, and sometimes watch through the narrow crack of a bedroom door. But Jane has always been the only one who notices them. As a child, she would point at the spirits and ask the adults around her who they were, why they were standing there, or why no one was helping them. At first, people said she was playing games. Eventually, they stopped finding it amusing. Maybe that was why Jane was never adopted. The orphanage came to believe there was something wrong with her, and Jane cannot entirely blame them. Her ability has followed her into adulthood and ruined almost every attempt she has made to live a normal life. It is difficult to keep a job walking dogs when a headless specter suddenly appears beside the road screaming for help. Still, Jane has never hated the ghosts. Mostly, she feels sorry for them. They are lonely. So is she. What Jane never expected was to become jealous of one. But then, she never expected to fall in love with a man who was still married to a ghost. November, 1989. Not one taxi driver wants to take Jane to Hawthorne Hall. There are not many drivers at the station to begin with. 2 seem legitimate. A third does not inspire much confidence. Yet every one of them refuses the moment Jane gives them her destination. "Why would you want to go there?" the first driver asks. "The place is cursed," another warns. "Those woods are haunted." Then someone adds that people who go there sometimes never come back. None of this sounds particularly encouraging. Unfortunately, Jane has no choice. Her last living relative works at Hawthorne Hall, and she has spent a long time saving enough money to track him down. No haunted forest is going to stop her from finding the only family she has left. And apparently, neither is the lack of a taxi. The walk should take roughly 3 hours. Jane's backpack is light, and the weather is not unbearable for late October this far north. The wind is cold, but at least there is no snow. At first, the route through the woods is easy enough. She follows the main road and keeps moving. Then the ground becomes wetter. Leaves disappear beneath thick mud. Her boots sink with every step, and soon the crisp sound of autumn foliage is replaced by an unpleasant squelch. The earth seems determined to hold her in place. Her progress slows. So does the daylight. The sun slips lower behind the trees, sending thin orange rays through the canopy. Even that light seems strangely distant, as though warmth cannot reach the heart of these woods. Jane's fingers eventually become numb. Her breath turns white in front of her. If she cannot reach her uncle's cabin soon, she may have to spend the night outside. The idea does not appeal to her. Branches twist through the mist like long skeletal fingers, catching her sleeves and forcing her to duck around them. Still, what other option does she have? When darkness begins closing in, Jane finds a clearing and builds a small fire. She has very little food left, but she still has water. Tomorrow, she tells herself, she will reach Hawthorne Hall. Tomorrow, she will finally meet Uncle Bill. Jane has never seen him before, but in her imagination he is already waiting outside his home with a welcoming smile and open arms. He will be glad she came. He has never answered any of her letters, but that does not have to mean anything. He is her only remaining family. Yes, Jane was left at the orphanage when she was 4. Yes, Bill never visited her. Yes, the headmistress sent her away the moment she turned 18. And yes, Jane has failed to keep every job she has found since then. But this time will be different. She stretches her hands toward the fire. This time, someone will let her stay. This time, she will find work she can keep. And this time, she will not let her strange ability ruin everything. No more telling anyone about ghosts. Jane stiffens. Something rustles in the darkness. Her small sandwich stops halfway to her mouth. There it is again. Something is moving inside the bushes. Jane slowly turns toward the sound and holds her breath. Two bright eyes appear between the leaves. Her entire body tenses. The creature steps forward. Then again. When it finally enters the firelight, Jane releases the breath trapped in her lungs. A wolf is staring at her. Not a full-grown wolf. A pup. Chapter 2. Rhys Hawthorne pushes open the door of his home, his long coat trailing heavily behind him. It is not yet 6 in the evening, but outside, the world is already black. Inside is hardly brighter. Candles burn along the entrance hall, but their weak flames do little to soften the cold stone or warm the enormous house. "Are we out of power again?" Rhys asks. Miss Teal appears beside him. She is in her mid-60s, short but solidly built, and Rhys has known her for nearly his entire life. Her mate once served as beta to Rhys's father. "Why would I be lighting candles if the power were working?" she snaps. Rhys smirks. Miss Teal removes his wet coat with practiced efficiency. "We weren't expecting you back so soon, Alpha. How is everyone in the valley?" "Snow starts tomorrow," Rhys replies as he removes his scarf. "We moved several families into the pack house. I didn't want anyone trapped around humans during the blizzard, especially families with children." He sighs. When he left, the relocation was not yet finished. His beta, John, is still supervising everything. If Rhys had a choice, he would have stayed there. Once, he would have remained among his pack for the entire storm, but he no longer has that freedom. Where are the children? His gaze travels toward the enormous staircase behind him. Nothing moves. No hurried footsteps. No excited voices. He did not expect either child to rush out and greet him. That does not stop the disappointment. "They're in the drawing room upstairs," Miss Teal says. "Go see them. I'll start dinner." Rhys nods and climbs. The staircase curves toward the second floor, where the darkness seems thicker. Candles flicker along the corridor, barely revealing the walls before the hallway disappears into shadow. The mansion had once been beautiful, grand even. Now silence fills every corner. There is no warmth here anymore, only memories, regrets, and shadows occupying places light does not seem willing to touch. Sometimes Rhys feels as though the house itself is pressing down on his shoulders, dragging him toward things he would rather forget. Outside, the wind moans through the dead leaves. "Sophie?" He pushes open the drawing room door. His 5-year-old daughter sits bent over a low table, a pencil in her hand. Long, pale blonde hair falls around her face, and an oversized sweater nearly swallows her small body. Her head snaps up. "Daddy." Sophie crosses the room in an instant and wraps herself around Rhys's leg. She holds him with surprising strength, almost as though she is afraid he might disappear again. Rhys rests one hand on her head. He has been away for a while, probably longer than he wants to admit. For an adult, it may not seem like much. For a 5-year-old, time is different. "Where's your brother?" Sophie does not answer. One glance around the room gives Rhys an unpleasant suspicion. One sheepish look from his daughter confirms it. "Sophie." He places both hands on her shoulders. "Where is Marcus?" Sophie shrugs. Then her amber eyes slide toward the window. Outside. Rhys's jaw tightens. Damn it. Chapter 3. Come back here. Jane stumbles after the wolf pup through the mud. Under normal circumstances, she would never chase a young wolf through a forest. Somewhere nearby, there could be a full-grown mother, perfectly capable of tearing Jane apart for getting too close. But the little thief has taken her backpack. It is dragging the bag between its teeth, happily disappearing farther into the mist. Jane owns almost nothing in the world. Everything she does own is in that pack, so she follows. Calling what she is doing running would be generous. She slips, catches herself, sinks ankle-deep into mud, and keeps going. The mist is so thick she can barely see farther than a few feet. The only thing guiding her is the sound of her backpack scraping across the ground. There's nothing left to eat in there, Jane calls. She should not have given the pup half her sandwich. Obviously, it wanted more. The bag probably still smells like peanut butter. But the animal had seemed so small, so alert. And Jane had been lonely. Before she realized what she was doing, she had been telling the wolf her entire life story. She had held out one hand while deliberately looking away, hoping the pup would approach on its own. It was the same method she used years ago while working at an animal shelter. She lasted 6 months there. A personal record. "You're not leading me to your parents, are you?" Jane calls. "Because they'll probably eat me." The dragging sound continues. "You don't want me eaten, do you? I thought we were friends." Miraculously, the torch in Jane's hand still works. Without it, she would never see the enormous iron gate emerging through the fog. It rises high above her, disappearing into the low cloud. Beyond it, through the haze, a distant light flickers. Behind that light stands the dark outline of a massive mansion. The wolf howls. Jane turns. The pup stands in front of a small cabin tucked against the edge of the forest. Her backpack lies on the porch beside it. She would never have noticed the building without him. The little wolf looks up at her with golden eyes. "What?" Zun pants. "Do you want me to knock?" Rain suddenly begins hammering down. Within seconds, droplets soak through her hair and coat. The cabin door opens. A broad man fills the doorway. He is thick through the chest and shoulders, and looks to be somewhere in his late 50s. "What the hell are you?" Jane blinks. The man steps outside, then notices the wolf. His jaw locks. "Did he bite you?" It takes Jane a moment to realize the question is for her. "No, he didn't." The wolf whines and lowers its head. "Save it," the man growls at the animal. "I don't want to hear it." Jane stares at him. "I didn't say anything." The stranger looks back at Jane as though he had briefly forgotten she existed. Something about his posture changes. For a man of his size, he suddenly looks strangely uncomfortable. "You'd better come inside." He opens the door wider. Jane hesitates. Rain is pouring over her, but she does not know this man. "I'm looking for someone," she says carefully. "A distant relative. I was told he lives." "I'm Bill." Jane freezes. The man jerks his head toward the cabin. "Come inside, Jane." Then he looks at the wolf. "You too." He turns and disappears into the cabin. Jane remains on the porch for a moment, looking between the open doorway and the wolf pup. The great uncle she crossed half the country to find is standing only a few feet away. Chapter 4. Jane sits close to the fire Bill has just built. The wolf pup watches the flames and gives a low growl. "I know," Bill mutters toward it. "I'm sorry, but our guest is freezing." Then he looks at Jane. "I'll make you something warm." For all his grumbling, Jane finds herself relaxing. Maybe it is simply because they are family. Maybe it is the warmth of the cabin after hours in the cold. Whatever the reason, she feels safer here than she expected. "How did you know who I was?" she asks. Bill places milk over the heat. Soon the sweet smell of chocolate fills the room. "You smell like..." He stops. His eyes remain fixed on the pot. "I mean, you look like your mother. I only met her once or twice, but I remember her." Jane immediately wants to ask about her mother. Instead, another question escapes. "You never answered my letters." She regrets the words as soon as she says them. She has known Bill for barely 10 minutes and is already accusing him of ignoring her. "Not that you had to," she adds quickly. "Obviously. You don't owe me anything." Bill taps his wooden spoon against the side of the pot. He does not look embarrassed, more thoughtful. "I should have answered." He finally looks at her. "I'm sorry." Bill fills 3 mugs with cocoa and carries them over. Jane gives him a tentative smile. Maybe this can work. Maybe she has finally found somewhere she belongs. Then Bill speaks. "You can't stay here, Jane. Her fingers tighten around her mug. He does not sound cruel, but there is no uncertainty in his voice. I wasn't expecting you to support me, Jane says quickly. I could work. I could help you. I'd earn my keep. Bill grimaces. My alpha won't allow it. Jane takes a sip of cocoa. The drink is so good she immediately takes another before his words register. You're what? Bill glances toward the pup. The little wolf shifts impatiently and makes a quiet sound in Bill's direction. My master, Bill corrects. My master wouldn't allow it. His eyes stay on the wolf. Jane notices. Bill taps his mug gently against hers. Drink. It gets cold quickly. She obeys. The hot chocolate burns pleasantly down her throat. That's really good. Did you put spices in it? Bill smiles, but the expression is strained. The pup begins pacing and whining. Go to my room, Bill tells him. To Jane's astonishment, the wolf immediately obeys and vanishes down the hall. She stares after it. Can wolves be trained like that? How do you know that, Wolf? A huge yawn cuts through her question. Jane covers her mouth. The fire has warmed her all the way through. After the exhausting hike, drowsiness settles over her with startling speed. Still, something feels strange. How do you know him? She asks again. Another yawn. Bill lays a soft quilt over her shoulders. Jane sinks deeper into it. You look like you need some rest. His voice sounds increasingly distant. I'm fine, Jane murmurs. Her tongue feels heavy. She will only close her eyes for a few seconds. Perhaps a minute. Far away, she thinks she hears someone pounding on the front door. Then sleep takes her completely. Chapter 5. Reese crosses the grounds toward Bill's cabin at a brutal pace. Rain lashes his face. If he does not hurry, the storm will wash away every trace of Marcus's scent. Sophie trots beside him in wolf form, her paws finding steady footing through the mud. She growls unhappily as water soaks her fur. I told you to stay inside, Sophie whines. Now is not the time to argue. She whines again. Reese knows exactly what she wants. Her brother. The two children are rarely apart. Sophie has always followed Marcus everywhere, as younger siblings tend to do. At least Marcus did not bring her on whatever reckless adventure took him away from home tonight. What Reese cannot understand is why his son left at all. Hopefully, Marcus made it to Bill. The groundskeeper is the strongest wolf on the estate whenever Reese is absent. Even if Marcus is not there, Bill can help search. Reese reaches the cabin and knocks once. Hard. Smoke rises from the chimney. Bill opens the door. Alpha. His eyes widen. Clearly he was not expecting Reese. Is he here? Reese pushes past him. Sophie squeezes inside after him. Yes, but... Bill points at the little wolf. Kid, stop. You're dripping all over my floor. Sophie ignores him and races toward the living room. Reese follows. The room is warm from the fire. Marcus sits wrapped in a quilt far too large for him, his bare feet sticking from beneath it. His blonde hair hangs in wet clumps around his flushed face. Sophie bounds toward him, tail wagging. Marcus lowers a cup of hot cocoa to the floor so his sister can drink, then ruffles her fur. He refuses to look at Reese. Where were you? Reese keeps his voice quiet. Marcus shrugs. Out. 8 years old, Reese thinks, and already behaving like a rebellious teenager. His jaw tightens. Now is not the time. The weather is worsening. Marcus is safe. Reese is about to leave the matter until morning, when Marcus suddenly turns toward Bill. What did you give her? Reese frowns. Her? Then he catches it. An unfamiliar scent beneath the smoke from the fireplace. Human. Bill looks guilty. I couldn't let her see him shift back, could I? Reese's gaze moves across the room. Then he sees the armchair facing the fire. He approaches it slowly. A young woman is curled beneath a quilt, fast asleep. Damp, light brown hair sticks to her face. Firelight moves softly over pale skin and delicate features. Reese growls. What is this? The human does not wake. He snaps his fingers near her face. Nothing. Her breathing remains slow and deep. I sedated her, Bill admits. Marcus needed to shift back. I didn't know what else to do. Reese barely hears him. He stares at the sleeping woman. A human. Small. Fragile. What was Bill thinking? She's a relative of mine, Bill says quickly. She wrote several times. She has nowhere else to go. Get rid of her. Bill pales. Alpha, the snow. I want her gone by morning. Reese will not keep a human anywhere near his home. Or his children. Marcus could have encountered her in wolf form. One frightened reaction, one careless bite, and she could have died. A shifter's bite is almost always fatal to humans. He has enough danger in his life already. Reese lifts Sophie under one arm and Marcus under the other. Both protest as he carries them out of the warmth. Beyond the cabin is only darkness and rain. Reese is accustomed to darkness. What he refuses to accept is another complication. Chapter 6. Morning light is already high when Jane wakes. Her mouth is dry. For several seconds, she has no idea where she is. Then she recognizes the stone fireplace and sees Bill sitting at the dining table. Coffee? He begins pouring before she answers. I made eggs too. Jane barely manages to sit before Bill places an enormous breakfast in front of her. Eggs. Bacon. A mountain of bread. You'll need your strength if you want to reach the bus stop in time. He keeps filling her plate. It's cold outside. Jane forces herself to smile. So she has already overstayed her welcome. She has not even been here a full day. It'll start snowing today, Bill adds. You need to leave as soon as you finish eating. In case his meaning was not clear enough. Jane cuts a piece of bacon. I understand. And she does. Bill is practically a stranger. He owes her nothing. I'm sorry, he mutters. I wish I could. It's fine. Jane shrugs. Really, you don't have to explain. Bill shifts uncomfortably. These lands belong to my master. It isn't my decision. Jane glances through the window. The mist has lifted. For the first time, she sees Hawthorne Hall clearly. The mansion towers beyond the iron gate, built from dark gray stone aged by years of harsh weather. One section immediately catches Jane's attention. The western wing. It looks abandoned. Some of the stone is blackened. Windows are shattered. Burned beams remain visible inside the ruined structure. Parts of the walls appear close to collapsing. Is that where your master lives? Yes. Bill notices where she is looking. Jane frowns. Was there a fire? Bill's expression closes. Yes. A terrible accident. What happened? No one here likes talking about that cursed day. Jane looks at the mansion again. There is something unsettling about it. The building seems to be forcing itself to remain upright, clinging stubbornly to something that should already have been lost. Less than an hour later, Jane says goodbye. Bill fills her backpack with food and gives her directions. Follow the gates until you see the path east through the woods. There's a bus stop near the edge. Only 3 buses run every day, and once the snow starts, none of them will come. Jane promises to hurry. Now, walking alone beside the iron fence, she wonders what she is supposed to do when she reaches town. She has no home waiting there, no family, no job. But this is not the moment to worry about that. Snow is coming. Jane reaches the path Bill described. She is about to enter the woods when she notices someone sitting on the ground nearby. A little boy. He looks no older than 8 or 9. Golden blonde curls frame his face. Something about him seems familiar, although Jane is certain they have never met. Then she notices something far more important. The child is naked. Oh my God. Jane immediately removes her coat and runs toward him. Are you okay? The boy becomes rigid as she approaches. He glances at her once, then looks away. His posture suggests he wants to run, but the cold seems to have frozen him in place. Jane gently wraps her coat around his shoulders. Here. She rubs his arms. Then she stops. A severe burn scar covers much of his right arm. It is old, healed, but unmistakably serious. Jane forces herself not to stare. You'll freeze out here. She searches the grounds. Where are your parents? The boy shrugs. After a moment, he lifts his arm and points behind them. Jane follows his gesture. Hawthorne Hall. More specifically, the burned western wing. Her eyes return to his scar. A terrible thought forms, and she immediately pushes it aside. The boy needs warmth. That is all that matters. Jane knocks at the mansion door. No one answers. She cannot leave the child barefoot in the cold while she waits, so she pushes the heavy door open herself. The hinges groan. Inside is a vast entrance hall. The architecture is elegant, but there is something cold and lifeless about it. High ceilings stretch overhead. Dark wooden details and stone columns frame the space. Yet no warmth reaches Jane. The silence is suffocating. Even the temperature feels wrong. Not simply cold, unnatural. Jane feels it in her bones. Hello? Her voice disappears into the enormous hall. Thin daylight filters through tall windows, casting long shadows across the floor. Behind her, the boy leaves muddy prints with his bare feet. Before Jane can call again, a deep voice explodes from above. What are you doing here? She jumps. A man descends the stairs. Number. Not merely a man, a presence. He is tall and powerfully built, moving with the absolute certainty of someone who owns everything around him. His face is sharply handsome, almost severe. His eyes burn with restrained anger. Jane's breath catches despite herself. Then she sees the woman following him. She is dressed in black. Her head tilts unnaturally to one side. I asked you a question, the man says. Jane forces her attention back to him. He is beautiful, but there is darkness around him, something that makes her body tense. The woman places a pale, skeletal hand on his shoulder. Jane's eyes track the thin arm upward. The cold deepens. Her gaze reaches the woman's face. A smile stretches across it. Too wide. Too still. There is nothing human in that grin. Jane's stomach turns. Sir? She tries to warn him. She does not look directly into the woman's eyes. She already knows what she will find there. Nothing. No life. No awareness. Only emptiness. The dead woman curls her fingers more tightly around the man's shoulder. He does not react. Of course he does not. Because the woman is not truly standing there. She is a ghost, and Jane is the only person in the room who can see her. Chapter 7. Sophie refuses to meet Reese's eyes. Every time he catches her gaze, she looks away. Where is your brother? He crouches in front of her, trying to remain patient. Then a sound rises from downstairs. Reese straightens instantly. His wolf becomes alert. No visitors are expected. Yet someone has entered his house. He reaches the staircase and begins descending. When he sees the entrance hall, he stops. Marcus is standing beside the human woman from Bill's cabin, the same woman Reese ordered off the estate. She looks exactly as she did the previous night. Human, unaware, vulnerable. One look at Marcus tells Reese that his son is unharmed. Still, cold slips beneath Reese's skin. Too cold. His gaze moves toward the window. Snow has begun falling. A dull pain blooms behind his temples. Then something whispers beside his ear. Don't let her near our children. Reese stiffens. She'll take them. Don't let her take them away. His jaw locks. Take his children? Never. He storms down the remaining stairs. What are you doing here? The young woman jumps. Wide, dark eyes turn toward him. For one absurd moment, Reese regrets raising his voice. There is something gentle in those eyes, almost wondrous. Then his headache surges. She does not answer. Her cheeks redden. I asked you a question. His tone is quieter this time. Still hard. Instead of looking at him, the human stares at something beyond his shoulder. Rhys instinctively glances back. Nothing is there. I found him outside, she finally stammers, pointing toward Marcus. He was naked. I thought. Rhys's attention snaps to the boy. Relief passes through him. Then the whisper comes again. She'll take him away. Don't let her take our son. Protectiveness ignites inside Rhys. Thank you for bringing him back, he says roughly, but you need to leave. The woman hesitates. I don't think it's safe for him to be wandering around outside, especially without clothes. The words scrape across Rhys's nerves. His head pounds harder. Is he your son? She looks startled. I think not. Rhys barely restrains the anger building inside him. I said leave. Her fists tighten. Her eyes shine with hurt, yet she still refuses to look directly at Rhys. Instead, she watches the empty space above his shoulder. Sir, leave. His voice echoes through the hall. The woman flinches, turns, and runs. Moments later, she disappears into the mist and falling snow. Rhys watches until she is gone. The cold does not leave with her. Chapter 8. Jane runs through the snow as fast as her legs can carry her. Her backpack slams against her side. Fear twists inside her. That woman. That ghost. The fixed grin. Those white fingers wrapped around Marcus's father. Jane has never seen a spirit remain so clear for so long. How long has it been following him? What has it been saying? Because Jane cannot hear the dead woman, but she saw the way the man changed. She saw his eyes darken, and Marcus had been outside naked in freezing weather. Was the ghost responsible? Could it hurt the child? Jane slows. Could she really leave him there? No. She needs help. Someone who can intervene. The bus will take her into town. From there, she can find a phone. Social services. The police. Anyone. She pushes harder through the thickening snowfall. When the edge of the forest finally appears, Jane sees movement ahead. The bus. Her relief lasts only a second. It is already pulling away. No. Jane runs after it. The vehicle disappears into white haze. She comes to a stop, bent over and gasping. Snow lashes her face. Then Jane realizes something else. Her coat. She left it wrapped around Marcus. The cold bites through her sweater almost immediately. She keeps going anyway. Someone has to believe her. They have to, even if no one ever has before. All her life, people dismissed every word she said about ghosts. But Jane cannot forget those skeletal hands. Marcus's bare feet. His father's expression. She will never forgive herself if something happens and she does nothing. Snow thickens until the world disappears. Jane walks, then stumbles, then walks again. Every breath tears at her throat. Her legs burn. She is not sure how long she has been moving when something changes. The cold stops hurting. At first, Jane thinks this is a good sign. Then warmth begins spreading beneath her skin. Her arms, her legs, her chest. It feels almost pleasant. Like sinking into a hot bath after standing outside too long. She pulls at her sweater. The warmth intensifies. Soon she feels hot. Far too hot. Her thoughts become sluggish. Vision blurs at the edges. Vision blurs at the edges. The snow beneath her boots no longer seems important. Stopping sounds wonderful. Just for a moment. Jane's knees fold. She collapses into the snow. Her arms move lazily through the powder. A strange euphoria fills her. She giggles. The sound vanishes into the wind. Snowflakes drift above her. Beautiful. Peaceful. Then Jane sees eyes through the storm. Piercing. Familiar. A voice calls her name. Her body no longer obeys her. The figure approaches. Strong arms lift Jane from the snow and pull her against solid warmth. For one brief second, she feels completely safe. Then everything disappears. Chapter 9. Rhys follows the fading scent through the blizzard. He should never have sent the human away. Humans are fragile. He knows that. Bill had come to him in a panic not long after Jane left, begging Reese to let him search for her. He insisted she would never reach the bus before the storm. Marcus had been there as well. His fear smelled sharp, too familiar. It reminded Reese of that day, the fire, Marcus's terror. Reese had promised himself he would never allow the boy to feel that helpless again. He had also sworn that no one would ever suffer in his place again. Too many already had. So Reese took responsibility for finding Jane. He is faster than Bill, a better tracker, and Reese is the one who forced her into the storm. Now her scent is disappearing beneath the snow. If he loses it, number. He refuses to finish the thought. Humans freeze easily. He increases his pace. Shifting would make him faster, but if Jane sees a giant wolf charging toward her, she might panic. Then again, fear is better than death. Reese is preparing to change when a sound reaches him. A laugh. Not a happy laugh. A weak, delirious giggle. His stomach drops. He runs. Then he sees her. Jane lies half covered by snow. Her skin is deathly pale. Her lips are blue. She is wearing only a thin shirt. Her discarded sweater lies several feet away. Jane. Reese drops beside her. He lifts her immediately. Her body is limp. Her skin feels like ice. He wraps her inside his coat. It is not enough. Jane's heartbeat is faint. Her pulse weakens beneath his fingers. The mansion is too far. If Reese tries carrying her all the way home, she may not survive. One place is closer. An old hunting cabin. He and Cliff used to play there when they were children. It has been abandoned for years. It may barely qualify as shelter. But right now, it is Jane's only chance. Chapter 10. Jane drifts between darkness and awareness. Everything feels slow. Far away, a fire crackles. Warmth surrounds her. It is so comfortable that moving seems impossible. Her eyelids finally open. She tries lifting one arm. It feels too heavy. Something soft brushes against her skin. Fur. Jane turns her head. Golden eyes stare directly into hers. A wolf. Its cold nose touches hers. For one startled second, Jane tenses. Why is there a wolf here? She blinks. When she looks again, the animal is gone. A man is there instead. The same striking face she remembers from the mansion. Firelight moves over his strong features. It's all right, he tells her. You're safe. Jane is in his arms. He holds her securely against his chest, and heat pours from his body into hers. She has no idea where she is. She does not understand why he is holding her. At the moment, none of that seems important. She is warm, safe, comfortable. Don't be alarmed, he says softly. Alarmed? Jane smiles sleepily. Why would she be alarmed? Being held like this feels almost like being cherished. His hand brushes her cheek. Fingers move gently through her hair. Jane becomes even more drowsy. You're beautiful, she mumbles. This must be a dream. The best dream she has ever had. She never wants it to end. The fire crackles. Darkness takes her again. When Jane wakes the next time, her mind is clearer. Heavy quilts cover her. The smell of burning wood fills the room. She looks upward at tall wooden beams crossing a high rustic ceiling. The place looks old but carefully maintained. Where am I? She remembers snow, cold. Then, warmth. And him. Before Jane can decide whether those memories were real, quiet giggling reaches her. She turns. Two small blonde heads peek over the end of the bed. Shut up, Sophie, a boy whispers. You'll wake her. The giggling stops. Do you think she'll be mad? A younger girl whispers back. Probably not. The boy pauses. But the alpha will. Maybe when she wakes up, she can bake cookies. Jane smiles. I do have a very good recipe. Two faces rise instantly. Marcus stares at her. Beside him is a younger girl with long blonde curls. You're awake, Marcus says, almost accusingly. Cookies, Sophie says. Hello. The children study Jane carefully. Then Marcus moves protectively in front of his sister and tries to look intimidating. You're not to tell anyone we were here. Jane almost laughs at the seriousness with which he squares his little shoulders. Cross my heart. Marcus blinks. Really? Just like that? Before she can answer, he suddenly goes rigid. What's wrong? Jane asks. Marcus raises one finger to his lips. Someone's coming. Jane hears nothing. Marcus grabs Sophie, and both dive behind the bed. A moment later, the door opens. Bill stands there. The concern on his face immediately becomes relief. Jane, thank God. Marcus's head appears from behind the mattress. Oh, it's only Bill. Sophie frowns. I could have told you that. I could smell him from miles away. Bill winces and looks toward Jane. Then he clears his throat. All right. Out, both of you. Your father wants you. The children leave. Bill closes the door and sits beside Jane. How do you feel? Fine, I think. She looks around. Where am I? At my master's house, the mansion. Bill rubs a hand across his face. I'm sorry, Jane. I never should have sent you away when I knew that storm was coming. It isn't your fault. You almost died. His voice tightens. You would have, if my master hadn't found you. Jane frowns. The man who threw her out went searching for her? Images return in fragments. Cold. Exhaustion. Strong arms. A deep voice. Warmth. I don't remember much. Another memory flashes. A hard masculine body pressed against hers. Arms holding her close. Jane's cheeks warm. Surely that part was a dream. Was your master angry? She asks. I know he wanted me gone. Bill shakes his head. If anything, he felt guilty for putting you in danger. He isn't cruel, Jane. Just rough around the edges. Jane remembers a low voice promising she was safe. A shiver moves down her spine. Definitely a dream. Are you all right? Bill asks. Jane sits straighter. If I could have my clothes, I should probably leave. She does not think she can face the man after dreaming things like that about him. Bill's expression changes. You can't leave. Jane blinks. Why? We're snowed in. Silence. The roads are blocked. It may take days before anyone can get out. Jane's stomach sinks. A few weeks at most, Bill adds. Weeks? Don't worry. You can stay here until then. It's already been arranged with the boss. Jane falls back against the pillows. Weeks. In this house. With that man. Chapter 11. Reese can still smell Jane on his skin. He has showered 3 times. The third had to be cold because he was in danger of emptying the estate's hot water reserve. And still, her scent remains. Faint, sweet, floral, distinctly pleasant for a human. Most humans smell like mixtures of sweat, soap, cosmetics, and whatever else they cover themselves with. Jane is different. At the hunting cabin, smoke initially overwhelmed everything. Then, as she slowly warmed in his arms, her natural scent emerged. Reese found himself breathing it in, enjoying it. It made him feel calm. For a few hours, almost peaceful. He hardly remembers what peace feels like. Now he paces the dining room while Miss Teal lays out breakfast. Jane could be trapped here for weeks. The children will have to control themselves. So will every adult in the house. No one can shift while the human is around. That is manageable for Reese, Bill, and the others. For children, control is more difficult. Reese takes his seat at the end of the table. Above the fireplace is Eliza's portrait. Deep blue eyes look down on him with the same warm indulgence he remembers. What would you have done? He whispers. Eliza had always been more patient, more joyful. When they were children, Reese could sulk in some dark corner for hours, and Eliza would simply take his hand and drag him back into the sunlight. No one does that anymore. There is no sunlight now, no warmth. Reese could accept that for himself. His children deserve more. They deserve their mother. But Eliza is gone. Only a fading portrait remains. A cold sensation curls around Reese's shoulders. The windows are shut. Outside, the blizzard is brutal. At the far edge of the grounds, he can barely see the frozen lake. We could go swimming, like we used to. Reese goes still. The thought does not feel like his. Then comes a voice. Feminine. Familiar. Far away. I miss you. Why do you keep us apart? Pain gathers behind Reese's eyes. Not again. Please come with me, my love. I can make everything better. We could bring the children. Not the children. Miss Teal stops in the doorway. Sir? Reese had not heard her enter. His gaze remains fixed on the window. Not the children, he repeats. His migraine pounds. When his eyes close, he sees fire, flames, smoke, and Eliza screaming. Chapter 12. Jane descends the stairs in a black dress and thin leggings she found in a drawer. The clothes are not really suited to the cold mansion, but they are all she has. More troubling than the temperature is the thought of facing the man who saved her. Her pulse accelerates. Jane scolds herself. He has already been generous enough to allow her to remain here. The least she can do is avoid humiliating herself over a ridiculous attraction. It is not a crush. It is nothing. Less than nothing. As she approaches the dining room, voices drift out. And then Ariel makes a wish to become human, Sophie announces. We know, Marcus complains. We were there. We watched the film. Georgie hasn't, another voice says. It's Miss Teal, dear. Jane stops. A woman. Her stomach tightens. The children's mother? Somehow she has not considered the possibility of meeting Mrs. Hawthorne. Of course there would be a wife. Jane feels foolish for the disappointment that hits her. She takes a breath and enters. The children go quiet. The older woman seated nearby is clearly not their mother. Jane looks toward the far end of the table. There he is. Mr. Hawthorne. Seeing him makes Jane's knees feel oddly weak. Mr. Hawthorne, Bill says. Jane is feeling better. The man does not appear to hear him. He is staring outside. Morning light traces his profile. Jane cannot help noticing the strong line of his jaw, the sharp cheekbones, the dark blonde hair curling slightly over his ear. He looks even broader than she remembers. Then Jane notices the tension in his shoulders, the exhaustion in his face. Dad? Sophie asks carefully. Marcus gives Jane an apologetic look. Jane barely notices, because something has appeared beside Mr. Hawthorne. An arm lies across his shoulders. Long black hair hides most of a woman's face. Jane's stomach drops. The ghost. How could she have forgotten? Its neck remains bent at a disturbing angle. Then the spirit turns. It sees Jane, and sneers. Jane, sit down, Bill says. She jumps. The ghost touches Mr. Hawthorne's face. Its lips move. Jane hears nothing, but Mr. Hawthorne reacts. His eyes suddenly focus on her. His expression hardens. What the hell are you wearing? Jane blinks. What? His gaze moves down her body. Jane pales. She should have asked before taking clothes from the room. I apologize, sir. He rises violently. His body is rigid. His fists clench. Jane stops speaking, not because of him, because the ghost is smiling. A cruel smile. Its dead eyes remain empty. Jane wants to scream that something is standing beside him, but she has done that before. To relatives, to orphanage workers, to teachers. No one ever believes her. Mr. Hawthorne will not either. Take it off. His voice drags her attention back. He is standing directly in front of her now. His face is so pale he almost resembles one of the dead. What? Jane notices the trembling in his body. Pain darkens his eyes. Off. The room becomes silent. Sophie whines. Marcus looks terrified. The ghost's grin opens wider. All right. Jane looks directly toward the spirit. I understand. She speaks calmly and moves carefully, watching for any reaction. The ghost does nothing. Jane pulls off the dress. It drops to the floor. She is left in her bra and leggings. Mr. Hawthorne stares at her. Then his expression changes completely. Confusion. Shock. He grabs both her wrists before she can remove anything else. He looks as if he has just awakened from a nightmare. The ghost begins to fade. Its vacant eyes settle on Reese's hands where they touch Jane. Instinctively, Jane closes her fingers around one of his hands. The spirit disappears. Completely. Mr. Hawthorne's shoulders lower. Color slowly returns to his face. Who? He looks at her. Who are you? I'm Jane. She smiles gently. Relief makes her almost dizzy. Whatever happened, the ghost is gone. And he looks better. Jane. Recognition returns to his voice. Then he smiles. Softly, Jane's breath catches. She knows that smile. She has seen it before. In her dream. Chapter 13. Reese feels as though he is rising through dark water. His senses return gradually. The first thing he sees clearly is Jane. Her dark eyes are wide, curious, uncertain. Has he frightened her? His mind feels foggy. He looks around the room, then back at Jane. She is barely dressed. Her soft curves are exposed. His eyes catch on her narrow waist before he forces himself to look away. He has already seen more of her body than this, but that does not make the sight less distracting. Reese immediately removes his sweater. Here. He pushes it toward her. Jane takes it. Their fingers brush. A violent crash shakes the mansion. The floor trembles. Reese is moving before anyone else reacts. He follows the sound toward the condemned western wing, then stops. Part of the roof has collapsed. A tower untouched since the fire has given way beneath the accumulated snow. Stone, wood, and ice lie in a massive pile below. Cold air pours through the opening. Beneath it is the lingering scent of burned timber. The old fire. Eliza. Bill and Miss Teal arrive behind him. Bill curses. If the roof is failing here, Miss Teal says, it could pull the rest of the structure down. Reese looks at the ruined wing. The part of the mansion everyone pretends is not there. An old wound they have never allowed to heal. We repair it now. It isn't safe, Miss Teal argues. When the storm passes, we should move the children. We're not leaving. His voice cuts through hers. The fire returns inside his mind. Marcus screaming. Eliza pleading. Heat. Smoke. Guilt. He cannot leave this place. Not again. We'll repair it. Alpha, Bill says carefully. The foundations are failing. This house is barely holding together. Sometimes you have to let something go. Reese turns toward him. We are not letting it fall. Not while I'm standing. He orders Bill to gather whatever supplies they can use. A small voice rises from behind them. I'll help. Reese turns. Sophie stands there with Marcus. Jane is with them. She is wearing his sweater. It hangs nearly to her knees. The sight sends an immediate, unwanted response through Reese's wolf. He forces himself to focus. Marcus looks pale. The boy should not be anywhere near this wing. Neither child should. Sophie, you and Marcus stay somewhere safe. But Dad, we're bored, she protests. We want to help. Reese's patience thins. Miss Teal interrupts. Alpha, I need to inspect the rest of the structure. If another section collapses, we could have a serious problem. She is right, but that leaves no one to watch the children. Mr. Hawthorne? Jane's quiet voice reaches him. Reese looks at her. She immediately falters. I could. Yes? Jane swallows. I wouldn't mind. Wouldn't mind what? Watching them. Her cheeks redden. I'm good with children. I've babysat before. Reese studies her. Her scent changes. Sweetens. Thickens. and she is looking at him with those wide, dark eyes while her pulse accelerates. Reese looks away. She is human, small, delicate. He could hurt her with almost no effort, and she smells far too good. "Jane, can we bake cookies?" Sophie asks. Marcus suddenly looks interested as well. Reese weighs his options. They have no time. Jane is trapped here anyway. The children clearly like her. "Fine." His answer comes out more like an order. "Jane will watch you." Then he looks at Marcus. "You, come here." He sends Sophie and Jane away before lowering his voice. "Do not shift in front of her. No one shifts around her." Marcus looks unimpressed. No swearing. Marcus frowns. Reese sighs and places a hand on his shoulder. "Jane is human. She's fragile. You know what could happen if one of us bit her." Marcus becomes serious. "I know, Alpha. I'll keep her safe." Reese nods. His unease remains. Jane's scent lingers even after she leaves. So does the image of her swallowed by his sweater, cheeks flushed as she looked up at him. Chapter 14. Marcus and Sophie look alike, but their personalities could not be more different. Sophie never stops moving. She jumps from subject to subject, asks several questions in one breath, and seems capable of crossing a room faster than Jane can track. Marcus is quiet, almost painfully so. Melancholy follows him. He avoids attention and constantly hides his burned arm behind his back. Sometimes his eyes become distant. It worries Jane. She tries involving him in games and conversations, but he mostly stays beside them without participating. When Sophie becomes too loud, Marcus tells her to stop. She usually listens, for perhaps 30 seconds. Jane also watches for the ghost. She wonders if it could be responsible for Marcus's sadness. But the spirit has not appeared again. Could touching Mr. Hawthorne truly have driven it away? That is not how ghosts usually work. Jane removes a second tray of cookies from the oven. Her thoughts drift toward Mr. Hawthorne and the others repairing the mansion. They've been out there a long time. She looks toward the children. Maybe we should light a fire so they can warm up when they come inside. Marcus stiffens. Jane immediately notices. Of course. His scar. He may remember being burned. Perhaps it happened during the same fire that destroyed the West Wing. Why? Sophie asks. Jane turns. Why what? Why would they need to warm up? Because they may be cold on the roof. Both children look confused. Why would they be cold? Sophie asks again. Marcus shrugs. Jane pauses. Perhaps there is no reason to continue discussing fire. Never mind. Sophie steals a cookie. If I get cold, I turn. Jane looks at her. Turn into what? Marcus's head snaps up. Shut up. Sophie recoils. Jane touches the girl's shoulder. It's okay. Marcus bares his teeth in a surprisingly wolfish expression. Jane startles. I'll tell father you were mean, Sophie threatens. Don't call him that. Marcus crosses his arms. Children. Jane raises both hands. Yelling ruins cookies. You don't want the cookies ruined, do you? Both children immediately fall silent. Jane hides a smile. What do you call Mr. Hawthorne, Marcus? Alpha. He accepts the cookie she hands him. There is that word again. Bill used it too. That's because he's our alpha, Sophie explains. And our father. Marcus growls. Then he bolts from the kitchen. Sophie watches him leave. Don't worry. Dad says he's sad because he misses Mom. Her expression falls. I don't remember her, so it's okay that she's gone. Jane's chest tightens. I'm sorry, Sophie. She leaves the girl with the cookies and follows Marcus. He has not gone far. Jane finds him crouched in a corner of the dining room. She sits beside him. My mother is gone too. Marcus shrugs but does not tell her to leave. Jane takes that as permission to continue. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll forget her. That makes me sad. Marcus finally looks at her. Really? Really. So I write things down in my journal, or I talk about her. That helps me keep the memories. Marcus clenches his fists. I can't write. He hesitates. Not very well. And the alpha doesn't like talking about mom. He says he doesn't mind, but I know he does. Jane considers him. I could teach you to write if you want. Marcus listens. And while you're learning, you can talk to me about her whenever you like. Jane gently places a hand on his shoulder. What was she like? Marcus says nothing. Instead, he points behind Jane. She turns. A portrait hangs on the wall. A woman with long black hair. Clear blue eyes. Jane knows that face. Her blood goes cold. Marcus's mother is the ghost haunting Mr. Hawthorne, his dead wife. Chapter 15. Rhys collapses onto his bed. 3 days. 3 relentless days repairing the roof while fighting the storm. He feels ancient. Snow kept piling around them while wind tore through every opening they tried to seal. Bill worked beside him. The entire time, Bill worried Jane might notice how quickly they could accomplish what should have taken ordinary humans much longer. She can't know what we are, Bill kept saying, as though Rhys needed reminding. His clothes remain wet and streaked with mud. He should change. The thought of standing feels impossible. He stares at the ceiling while exhaustion presses down on him. His mind refuses to rest. When will Jane be able to leave? The children are already becoming attached. Especially Sophie. But that is hardly surprising. Sophie is starved for affection, for joy, for light. Her endless energy reminds Rhys painfully of Eliza. She has her mother's determination, her brightness, her stubborn ability to fill a room. Marcus is different. He takes after Rhys's side of the family. Quiet, brooding, carrying more sadness than a child should. Marcus was 4 when his mother died, old enough to remember. Sometimes Rhys wonders exactly what he remembers. There are moments when Marcus looks at him with something almost like betrayal. He never discusses the fire. Certainly not with Rhys. Maybe he could talk to someone else. Someone warmer. Yesterday, Rhys passed the drawing room and saw Marcus bent over a book. Jane sat beside him, patiently helping him sound out the words. It was the first time in years Rhys had seen Marcus willingly focus on something unrelated to shifter training. Jane will eventually leave. Before she does, perhaps she can help Marcus open up. Rhys loves his children more than anything. But he has never felt prepared to raise them. They are constant reminders of the woman he failed to save. Reminders that Rhys should have been the one to die. If he had, perhaps everything would have been better. Perhaps the children would still have Eliza. A cold sensation settles over his skin. Her loss is always present, usually a dull ache. Tonight it sharpens. The room seems to darken around him. Then the whispering begins again. Rhys closes his eyes. Sleep does not come. Chapter 16. Sophie bounces around the kitchen while Jane prepares a tray of breakfast leftovers. Marcus stands beside them, quietly arranging plates. Jane watches both children. Something about this family hurts to witness. They have a mansion, food, warm clothes, every material thing they could need. Yet their mother is dead, and their father seems to spend every possible moment finding reasons not to be with them. I think it's sweet that you're taking him breakfast, Jane says. Sophie beams. Do you think he'll like our drawings? Jane looks toward the pictures the children finished yesterday. Sophie's page is a chaos of bright color, rainbows, sunshine, and mermaids. Marcus's drawing is far more detailed. He helped Sophie with her mermaid's tail, then drew a remarkably skillful portrait of a man. Jane notices the long scar across the figure's left cheek. Is your father a pirate? Marcus gives her a flat look. That isn't my dad. He points. That's Uncle Cliff. Jane balances the heavy tray while following the children upstairs. Sophie skips ahead. Marcus stays closer to Jane. At Mr. Hawthorne's bedroom, Marcus knocks. No response. Maybe he's asleep, Sophie whispers loudly. Marcus steps back. We should leave. Jane remembers the orphanage. Days spent waiting for someone to notice her, to care enough to ask what she needed. She refuses to let these children live with the same feeling. Jane adjusts the tray, then opens the door. Mr. Hawthorne? He lies across the bed, still wearing muddy, wet clothing. His eyes are open but vacant. His jaw is locked, his body rigid. The ghost is beside him. Eliza's bony fingers stroke Reese's cheek. Jane's heart begins hammering. Dad? Sophie calls. Jane panics. She needs to make the spirit disappear. Her eyes move over the breakfast tray. Salt. Without thinking, Jane grabs the shaker. She steps closer to the bed, turns, and throws salt over her left shoulder toward the ghost. Eliza vanishes. Instantly, the oppressive cold lifts. Jane releases a shaking breath. Chapter 17. Jane watches Reese from across the room. He is with the children. Laughing. Actually laughing. For the first time since Jane arrived, the heavy darkness around him seems absent, even if only for a few minutes. Seeing him like this makes Jane want to help him even more. When Reese smiles, he looks younger, kinder, almost like another man entirely. His gold blonde hair catches the light. Marcus smiles at something he says. Sophie laughs. Jane's heart tightens. The ghost haunts Reese in more ways than one. Eliza touches him, whispers to him, and somehow changes his moods. She makes him angry, absent, cold, but Jane still does not understand how. Her ability has always felt like a curse. For the first time, she wonders whether it could be useful. If she had ever learned more about spirits, instead of trying to hide from her gift, perhaps she would already know how to help Reese. You look troubled. Bill's voice startles her. I wish I could research something. Jane stops herself. These people do not think she is strange. She does not want that to change. Bill rubs his chin. The library here is enormous. You might find something useful. Jane brightens. She had forgotten about the mansion's library. She thanks him and hurries away. The room is immense. Shelves stretch from floor to ceiling. Old books fill nearly every available space. Jane scans title after title. Then one catches her attention. Occult Practices and Spectral Beings. She pulls it free. The leather is worn. The pages yellow with age. Jane settles into a quiet corner and begins reading. According to the book, ghosts often remain attached to the living because of unresolved business. They can bind themselves to people, places, memories. For a spirit to move on, old wounds sometimes must be healed. Jane thinks about the fire. Eliza died in that house. How can Jane possibly heal something like that? She keeps reading, then finds instructions for protective circles designed to keep spirits away. Relief floods her. She can draw one around Reese's bed tonight. Maybe it will give him peace. Jane takes the book toward the large window. Snow still covers the estate, but the storm finally appears to be weakening. Far beyond the mansion, at the edge of the woods, 3 wolves move across the white field. Chapter 18. The house is unusually quiet. Reese can hear his children playing nearby. Outside, the storm has finally begun to fade. The wind no longer howls. Snow falls gently now. It should break by tomorrow. Marcus immediately becomes tense. Reese notices. What's wrong? The boy says nothing. Then Sophie bursts into tears. I don't want Jane to leave. Reese's chest tightens. Both children have cried enough. He kneels beside his daughter. Sophie, it can't be helped. The words sound weak even to him. Jane doesn't belong here. She's human. But she's nice. Sophie wipes her eyes. She tells the best mermaid stories. Reese looks at Marcus. The boy says nothing, but hope is written all over his face. They both want Jane to stay. Reese understands why. She brought something into this house that had been missing for years. Lightness. Jane won't want to stay forever, Reese says. She has friends and family somewhere. She doesn't have parents, Marcus says. Reese looks at him. She's like us. She's alone. Something inside Reese twists. Bill, who has been listening quietly, speaks. It's true, Alpha. Jane grew up in an orphanage. Her parents died when she was young. She's been alone most of her life. Reese thinks of her. He never seriously considered where she came from. The thought of Jane having no one bothers him more than it should. Wolves belong in packs. Jane is human. Still, the instinct to pull her into theirs comes unexpectedly. Perhaps she could remain. She would make an excellent nanny. Someone to stay with the children while Reese handles pack matters. She clearly cares about them. And they adore her. The idea is almost appealing. Then Reese remembers reality. It's too dangerous for a human to live among us. His voice becomes hard again. She doesn't belong here. Bill lowers his head. Even he knows Reese is right. Humans rarely survive long inside a shifter's world. Chapter 19. The mansion settles around Jane with faint creaks. Everyone is asleep. She lies in bed listening to the silence. Tomorrow the storm will end, and once the road's clear, Reese will send her away. This may be her only chance. Jane slips from beneath the covers. She opens the door and looks into the hallway. Darkness presses against the walls. She descends the stairs first, checking that no one is awake. Only dying embers remain in the fireplace. The house feels colder without a fire, almost watchful. Jane returns upstairs. Her hands begin shaking before she even reaches Reese's bedroom. She stops outside his door. Tomorrow she will be gone. Tonight she can still help him. Jane pushes the door open. The hinges groan. She steps inside, then freezes. Reese lies in bed. His chest barely moves. Hovering over him is Eliza. The ghost's gaunt face is pressed against his. Blackened lips cover his mouth. Reese's body trembles beneath her. His skin is nearly gray. Jane's first instinct is to run. Instead, she rushes toward the bed. "You're hurting him." The ghost turns its empty eyes toward her. For one terrible second, Jane thinks Eliza will attack. Then the spirit dissolves into darkness. Reese goes limp. Jane drops to her knees. "Sir?" She shakes his shoulder. "Wake up." His skin is cold. His pulse weak. The book. The circle. Jane pulls the chalk from her pocket. She crawls around the bed and draws the protective markings as quickly as she can remember them. Her hands shake so badly the lines are uneven. When the circle is complete, Jane returns to Reese. She presses her palm against his chest. There. A heartbeat. Faint. Then his eyelids move. Relief nearly makes Jane cry. "Jane!" His voice is rough. "You're awake." Reese looks confused. "What are you doing here?" Jane realizes her hand is still resting on his bare chest. She pulls it back. She had never considered what she would say if he woke and found her inside his bedroom in the middle of the night. "I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For saving me." Her voice softens. "In the snow." Reese blinks. "It was the least I could do." "No." Emotion rises in Jane's throat. "No one has ever done anything like that for me." Reese looks troubled. Jane continues before she loses courage. "I've always had to look after myself. You didn't owe me anything, but you still risked your life to find me." "You're wrong about me," Reese says quietly. He looks away. "I'm not." Jane cups his face. Her hands tremble. "I think you're wonderful." Reese looks at her. Dark eyes. Intense. Jane suddenly becomes very aware of how close they are. Of his bare chest. The strength in his shoulders. The muscles moving beneath his skin with each breath. Heat spreads through her body. A craving she does not understand coils low inside her. She wants to touch him. Wants to know what his mouth would feel like. What would happen if he pulled her closer? Jane leans in. Her eyes close. The distance between them disappears. What are you doing? Reese's voice stops her. His hand rests on her shoulder, holding her away. Jane opens her eyes. His expression is cool, controlled. Humiliation burns across her face. She immediately retreats. I'm sorry. Jane turns to escape. His hand slides down and closes around her wrist. Wait. Her heart jumps. Hope flares. Maybe he will pull her back. Maybe. Would you consider working for me? Jane stares at him. As nanny to my children. For several seconds, she cannot speak. What? I'm offering you a job. His tone remains calm. Stay here, look after Sophie and Marcus. The words hit Jane with humiliating clarity. He does not want her, not in the way she wants him. He sees her as an employee. Nothing more. Then, another realization follows. Reese is offering her a home, work, a place with the children she already cares about. Jane forces a smile. Yes. She swallows. Thank you. A small smile touches Reese's mouth. He releases her wrist. Jane turns toward the door. Jane. Her traitorous heart jumps again. She looks back. It would be best if you stopped coming into my bedroom. His voice is low. Especially now that you'll be working for me. Jane drops her gaze. Of course, sir. She leaves quickly. Once inside her own room, she closes the door and climbs into bed. Her body still burns with desire. Her heart aches with rejection. Jane presses one hand to her chest, then lower, imagining another hand instead. His. What just happened? How could wanting someone feel this good and this miserable at the same time? Chapter 20. Reese cannot sleep. Jane's scent remains in his bedroom. Sweet, warm, almost indecent. She should never have come into his room. More importantly, Reese should never have allowed her to stay there as long as she did. He saw the desire in her eyes, smelled it in the air. Jane, being human, probably had no idea how completely her body betrayed her. Reese is a wolf. He noticed everything. Her scent changed as she leaned toward him, thickened with unmistakable arousal. For him. That knowledge is driving Reese insane. His body aches with a raw hunger he has not experienced in years, perhaps ever. He cannot stop seeing her face, wide-eyed, flushed, embarrassed after he stopped her. But before the embarrassment, Reese closes his eyes. That thin nightdress had done nothing to hide her body. He remembers every curve, the swell of her breasts, the narrow dip of her waist, the soft flare of her hips. His hands tighten. He knows he cannot touch her, but memory does not obey rules. He remembers her lashes lowering, the breath that left her lips as she leaned toward him. Jane had wanted Reese to kiss her. What would she have done if he had? His imagination supplies the answer far too easily. His hands on her waist, pulling her against him, her face growing redder as he kissed her neck. His teeth grazing her throat, her pulse racing beneath his mouth. Reese shifts in bed. It only makes things worse. He wonders what Jane tastes like, what she would feel like beneath him, how her voice would sound if he made her lose control, how sweet her scent would become if he brought her pleasure until she trembled. Reese curses and climbs out of bed. He strides into the bathroom. Ice-cold water hits his body. He grits his teeth beneath it. The shock helps, barely. This cannot continue. Jane is human, fragile. No matter how desperately Reese's wolf wants her, she is vulnerable in ways she cannot understand. She is innocent of his world, and completely off limits. Chapter 21. Jane sees very little of Reese during the month that follows. As soon as the weather clears, he begins spending most of his time away from the mansion. Jane is left with 2 children who quickly learn to rely on her. Marcus and Sophie thrive under the attention. Day by day, they share more of themselves, their fears, Dreams. Questions. Marcus slowly becomes less guarded. Sophie becomes even more energetic, which Jane had not believed possible. There is one thing neither child allows. Jane cannot accompany them on their long afternoon trips into the woods. Rhys had specifically warned her about this. He insisted they would be perfectly safe and told her only to fetch Bill if they failed to return before nightfall. Jane accepts the rule. Reluctantly. Rhys. During the day, she allows herself to think his name only in private. At night, she dreams of him. His lips against her skin. His voice murmuring things into her ear that she cannot remember after waking. Only the ache remains. Occasionally she sees him from a distance. More often, she sees his portraits. The gallery contains generations of hawthorns. Rhys is unusual. There are 2 paintings of him. In one he smiles openly, looking young and almost carefree. In the other, he wears the cold expression Jane knows better. Severe. Commanding. Dominant. During Rhys's first week away, Jane asked Miss Teal when he might return. Miss Teal gave an evasive reply about Mr. Hawthorne having responsibilities more important than entertaining Jane. The look accompanying those words was clear. Do not pursue him. Jane told herself the distance was good. If Rhys stayed away, Eliza could not hurt him here. That explanation worked until Sophie asked for her father. Or Marcus's expression brightened whenever someone mentioned Rhys. Then Jane became angry again. While the children disappeared into the woods, Jane often helped Bill around the estate. She asked him about Rhys. Bill always defended him. It's hard for the master to come home now that the mistress is gone. Jane has not seen Eliza's ghost since Rhys left. She still thinks about the spirit, about what Eliza was like in life. One afternoon, Jane cautiously asks Bill. He immediately becomes guarded. You wouldn't understand. He stops himself. It's difficult to explain. Jane waits. Near the end, she wasn't herself. Not even the children could reach her. She stayed in her room, stared at nothing, barely ate, barely spoke to anyone except the master. Bill looks troubled. It took a terrible toll on him. He did everything he could. What was she like before? Jane's throat tightens around the question. Bill's face softens. Joyful, strong, full of life, a force of nature. He chuckles faintly. Rather like Sophie. If Eliza wanted something, eventually she got it. Everyone loved her? Very much. Bill grows quiet. No one more than Mr. Hawthorne. Jane looks away. I'm sure. The master adored her. Adored. Jane's heart aches for Rhys. For Marcus and Sophie too. They all loved Eliza. And none of them realize she is still here. Still trapped. Still not herself. Just as Bill says she had not been herself before she died. Chapter 22. Spring sunlight enters Rhys's office. The warmth barely reaches him. This is his first real day home after months of keeping his distance. He has been gone too long. The difference in his children is impossible to miss. Sophie seems more confident. Marcus behaves more like a child and less like a tiny soldier. Jane has brought something into their lives Rhys could never give them. Light. For the first time, Rhys seriously wonders whether they should leave Hawthorne Hall. The isolation is hurting all of them. Perhaps it is finally time to live among the pack. Then he thinks of Jane. If they moved into the heart of pack territory, she could not stay. Humans do not belong there. The thought bothers Rhys. He wonders what Jane thinks of his long absences. Probably that he is a terrible father. She has no idea he is alpha. No idea what responsibilities keep pulling him away. That only makes his absence look worse. Rhys has seen how patient Jane is with the children. How constant. He wants her opinion before he makes a decision. That is why he asked Miss Teal to bring her to his office. Then, the room changes. Cold settles over Rhys's shoulders. The familiar dread returns. This is the children's home. The whisper slips into his mind. They wouldn't survive away from it. Neither would you. You belong here. Reese grips the chair. The cold penetrates his bones. This mansion is their home. The children grew up here. Their mother is here. How could he take them away? Pain blooms behind his eyes. Guilt rises. Eliza. Everyone Reese loves dies because of him. He fails them. Always. A knock interrupts the spiral. Jane steps inside. Flour covers parts of her clothing and face. Her cheeks are flushed. Her hair looks slightly wild. She is so alive that simply seeing her loosens something inside Reese's chest. I apologize, sir. Jane smiles. The children are preparing a tea party for you. There has been quite a lot of baking. Reese tries to answer. His headache surges. Sir? Jane's smile disappears. She steps closer. Her eyes narrow as though she is staring at something Reese cannot see. The cold tightens. He grips the desk. He cannot leave Eliza. The children cannot leave. This house. Warmth touches his knee, then his face. Reese blinks. Jane is standing directly in front of him, one hand against him. The cold retreats through the place where she touches. Jane? He looks around. I didn't hear you come closer. She smiles. Sunlight touches her hair. Her scent blooms around him. You're like fresh air in this suffocating house, Reese says without thinking. Jane turns a beautiful shade of pink. His wolf responds with immediate satisfaction. Jane quickly removes her hand. I'm sorry, sir. Reese watches her long lashes lower against flushed cheeks. Beautiful. How many times do I need to tell you to call me Reese? Well, no one else does. She looks completely flustered. Reese laughs. Jane is even lovelier than he remembered. His wolf wants her. Reese cannot allow that. She is human. Too fragile. What a cruel waste. Miss Teal said you wanted to speak with me. Reese frowns. Yes, he did. About moving. About leaving Hawthorne Hall. But now the idea feels wrong. Impossible. I wanted to know how you were doing here. Jane looks surprised. Are you happy with us? Of course I am, sir. Reese. Jane's heartbeat increases. I'm very happy here, Reese. Why wouldn't I be? This place is isolated. You might prefer somewhere with people your age, friends. Reese does not know why he is asking. Perhaps because some part of him fears Jane may decide to leave on her own. Eventually she will. She does not belong among them. I've never really had friends, Jane admits. Reese frowns. No friends? I don't believe that. Jane glances down. Why? You're too good not to have friends. Her cheeks redden again. People think I'm weird. Reese laughs softly. Weird? Jane gives a small shrug. She is hiding something. Reese can tell. He does not pry. But sadness appears in her face, and he hates it immediately. I don't think you're strange at all. Jane looks at him. Hope fills her eyes. The expression seems so delicate Reese almost fears touching it will make it disappear. Chapter 23. Wildflowers fill the field. The sky is bright blue. Reese lies in the grass with a rare, peaceful smile. Marcus and Sophie chase butterflies nearby, their laughter drifting on the warm air. Come on, Jane, Sophie calls. Play with us. Jane laughs and starts toward the children. A hand closes around her wrist. She turns. Reese is watching her. Stay with me. His voice is playful, low. But the children, they're fine. He pulls. Jane stumbles directly into his lap. Reese laughs. The deep sound vibrates through her. Jane's heart races. I'm not sure friends are supposed to do this. Her eyes flick toward his mouth. Reese smiles. But you don't really want to be friends, do you, darling? His thumb brushes her lower lip. Jane shivers. A soft sound escapes her before she can stop it. Her body leans toward his touch. Then Reese kisses her. At first, his lips are gentle. The kiss quickly deepens, becomes hungrier. Jane presses closer. She wants more. Then Rhys pulls back. Something changes. You're not Eliza. The warmth disappears. Sunlight becomes cold. Rhys is suddenly pale beneath her. His lips are blue, his eyes empty. Jane wakes with a violent gasp. She bolts upright. Her bedroom is dark. The dream is gone. The cold is not. It crawls across Jane's skin. She turns. Eliza hovers above her. The ghost looks nothing like the woman in the portrait. Her face is twisted, eyes black, mouth stretched into a hateful grin. He's mine. For the first time, Jane hears her. The spirit's voice cuts through the room like ice. He belongs to me. Jane cannot move. Eliza lunges. Jane closes her eyes. A scream sticks in her throat. The bedroom door crashes open. Jane. Rhys. Strong arms pull her from the bed. Open your eyes, sweetheart. His voice is full of concern. A hand strokes her hair. Jane obeys. Rhys's worried face fills her vision. Relief overwhelms her. She buries her face against his neck. Are you all right? Rhys sounds confused. Me? I'm not the one who screamed. He rubs her back. What happened? Jane looks over his shoulder. Eliza remains in the corner, watching. Jane clings more tightly to Rhys. The ghost has to go. For good. Rhys cannot remain trapped by something dead. Jane is alive. And however selfish it may be, she wants him. All of him. Chapter 24. Jane drives down the winding road with both hands tight around the steering wheel. She needs answers. She has read every useful book in Hawthorne Hall's library. Nothing tells her how to permanently free Rhys from Eliza. With the children safely with Bill and Rhys away, Jane takes the opportunity to search elsewhere. The nearest town has no real library, so she drives farther south. By the time she arrives, summer heat rolls off the pavement. Jane wipes sweat from her forehead and looks around. The town is busy, modern, unfamiliar. After asking for directions more than once, she finally finds a chain bookstore. Her optimism disappears quickly. Nothing there is useful. She walks the aisles until frustration makes her temples ache. Eliza is becoming more aggressive. Jane senses her now, even when Rhys is not home. She cannot ignore this. A young salesman approaches. Looking for books about ghosts? Something more specialized. He thinks. There's another shop at the end of town. Jane follows his directions. The place looks run down. More like a comic store than anything that might contain serious occult knowledge. She enters anyway. The instant Jane crosses the threshold, everything changes. The heat disappears. The lighting dims. The small shop stretches impossibly farther than it should. Old shelves rise around her. Dust hangs in the cool air. Aged paper replaces the smell of summer pavement. Jane looks back through the door. The street outside seems narrower, darker, wrong. She steps outside. The modern town returns. She steps back in. Ancient bookstore. Jane repeats the experiment. Once, twice. You know, if you keep doing that, eventually you'll get stuck. Jane jumps. A young man lies awkwardly across a couch far too small for him. He pinches the bridge of his nose. His skin looks pale, sickly. His limbs are long enough to hang over the furniture. Are you okay? Fine. He waves lazily. So, what will it be? Jane looks around. I'm sorry? He sighs. My store. Jane continues staring. If you aren't going to make your wish, could you at least... My wish? One bright green eye opens. If you found this place, you must have one. Jane studies him. Messy copper hair. Young face. Yet something about him feels ancient. Dark. Dangerous. Are you a ghost? He raises an eyebrow, then drops his head against the couch. I'm a magician. Jane says nothing. I grant wishes to people desperate enough to reach me. You appear to qualify. He gestures. So if there is something you desperately want, now is your opportunity. Jane glances around for hidden cameras. Can you do anything about ghosts? You're strangely interested in ghosts. His expression sharpens. Someone's being haunted? Jane almost gasps. For once in her life, she mentioned ghosts, and the other person did not laugh. Yes. Relief rushes through her. Well, not me exactly. My boss. She hesitates. Friend. Your boss friend. The magician groans and mutters that he is not drunk enough for this conversation. Jane becomes afraid he may refuse to help. Please. She moves closer. My friend is in danger. I don't think I could forgive myself if something happened to him. The magician looks at her. Then make a wish. Hope rises. Then he continues. But understand the price. If I grant your wish, I take whatever you love most. Jane frowns. This may be absurd. Impossible. But if it is real, the man I'm trying to save is what I love most. The admission escapes before she can stop it. Jane's face burns. The magician reaches under the couch and produces a bottle. If your boyfriend is what you value most, wishing will probably mean you lose him. He isn't my boyfriend. Jane's voice becomes small. But I do love him. The magician drinks. Then if you make your wish, you may spend the rest of your existence apart from your hopeless crush. Pain cuts through Jane. Never seeing Reese again? She cannot imagine it. The magician notices her expression. He holds out the bottle. Here. What is it? A magical brew, capable of removing all feelings of hopelessness. Jane looks at the label. This is whiskey. Precisely. She studies him. There is loneliness behind those green eyes. An old sadness. Are you absolutely sure you're not a ghost? Fairly sure. He offers the whiskey again. This time, Jane takes a small drink. It tastes better than expected. Does it make me selfish if I don't wish for something that could save him? Probably. Jane sighs. If she can free Reese from Eliza, she should. But losing Reese forever feels unbearable. She takes another drink. You could tell him to wish the ghost away himself. He doesn't know she's there. Another drink. And he wouldn't believe me. Jane stares at the bottle. For the first time in my life, I have something that makes living feel worthwhile. She looks at the magician. Maybe it's wrong, but I don't want to lose it. She takes another drink. Do you understand? For a moment, the magician looks genuinely troubled. No, he says quietly. Then he takes the bottle back. Chapter 25. Jane has been gone for hours. Reese returned to the mansion expecting to see her at dinner. Instead, he learned she had driven into town. Now the sun is down. Jane is still missing. She is probably with friends. Reese repeats this while pacing. Jane is allowed to have friends. She can go wherever she wants. She is not his. His wolf growls at that thought. Reese lowers himself onto the couch. What if she is not with friends? What if she is hurt? Lost. He is seconds from going after her, when something warm lands directly in his lap. Jane appears from nowhere. She looks up at him with glassy eyes. Oh, she giggles. I'm home. Her arms wrap around Reese's neck. Her scent floods him. Sweetness. Warm skin. Alcohol. Reese stares. Jane? She presses her forehead against his chest. I can't believe the teleportation thing worked. What happened to you? Met a magician. She sounds sleepy. Might have a solution for the ghost. Reese frowns. What ghost? Then he notices the slur in her words. The flushed cheeks. He almost laughs. Jane, have you been drinking? Me? She giggles again and squeezes him. Maybe a little. I've never had alcohol before. Her body presses against his. I like it. Jane sighs happily. It feels warm. She looks at Reese. Like you. Her voice becomes a soft whine. You feel so good, Reese. He becomes painfully aware of every place their bodies touch. Jane looks around. Why is the room spinning? Because you're drunk, darling. I'm not drunk. She rolls her eyes. One hand slides over Rhys's chest. Then her mouth brushes his neck. Rhys grits his teeth. I'm just in a mood. Jane deliberately shifts her hips against him. Rhys catches them immediately. A groan nearly escapes. Right. He stands, lifting her with him. Bed. Jane wraps both arms around his neck. Your bed? No, darling. Rhys has to stop for 1 second, because the suggestion produces an image he desperately does not need. Jane beneath him. Soft. Willing. Calling his name. That would be a terrible idea. By the time Rhys carries her into her bedroom, she is already half asleep. He lays her down. Then, unable to resist, presses a gentle kiss to her forehead. Jane looks at him with half-lidded eyes. There is so much adoration in them that Rhys blames the alcohol. What exactly did you do tonight? Jane pouts. I was trying to forget. Forget what? You. The word is barely audible. Rhys stills. How in love with you I am. His heart clenches. You love me? Jane stretches sleepily. And it hurts because you don't feel the same. Her words begin fading. Meanwhile, Rhys leans closer. Meanwhile, Jane smiles. I think about how good it would feel if you... Her scent sweetens. Rhys almost loses control. Then Jane falls asleep before finishing the sentence. He remains beside the bed. She loves him. The thought feels impossible. Humbling. Rhys begins to move away. Jane's fingers tighten around his hand. He sighs. Jane. She remains asleep. I don't know what to do with this. He looks at her. The fact that you could love me, want me. His throat tightens. You wouldn't if you knew what I was, or understood what being mine would cost you. Rhys raises her hand and presses a kiss to it. Because make no mistake, sweetheart. I do want you to be mine. He watches her sleep. How could I not love you back? You're impossible to resist. Jane shifts closer as though she can hear him. That only makes the pain worse. She is human. If Jane became Rhys's mate, she could never fully live inside the pack. He could never completely claim her. A mating bite could kill her instantly. Pregnancy with a shifter child could kill her too. Jane has survived a life filled with loneliness and hardship without losing her kindness. She deserves more than the dangerous half-life Rhys can offer. But the choice should be hers. Tomorrow, he decides, he will tell her everything. The pack, his wolf, the risks, what he feels. If Jane still chooses him, she won't. The voice comes from beside his ear. Rhys stiffens. Of course she won't. He tries pushing the thought away. Maybe she will. Jane deserves the truth. She deserves to know that Rhys loves her, that he would choose her. Again and again. You're selfish, cruel. Rhys's breath catches. You would endanger her just to satisfy yourself. Have you no shame? She doesn't belong with you. Cold surrounds him. Rhys pulls away from Jane and stumbles into the hallway. The voice follows. You're a liar. You said you would always love me. Look what you did to me. Why would things be any different with her? Pain splits through Rhys's temples. His vision blurs. No. He grips his head. Then his resistance weakens. You're right. The cold deepens. I'd hurt her. Then you know what you must do. The words curl around him. Rhys feels himself sinking into black, freezing water. Then everything goes dark. Chapter 26. Morning light cuts through Jane's curtains. She groans and pulls the blanket over her head. Her mouth feels dry. Her stomach turns. Her memories are scattered. The magician's shop. Talking about Eliza. Whiskey. Never again. There had also been a young woman with strawberry blonde hair. After that, almost nothing. Jane forces herself upright. Her head pounds. Then she sees someone sitting in the corner. Reese. Joy rises immediately. Hi. Her voice is rough from sleep. Then she notices his face. Pale. Almost gray. His hands are clasped together, but they are trembling. Is something wrong? Reese clears his throat. He refuses to meet her eyes. We no longer require your services. Jane stops breathing. I think you should pack your belongings and leave today. For several seconds, she cannot understand him. Why? Her voice shakes. Are you angry with me? Reese says nothing. His knuckles are white. I found you drunk last night. Jane's stomach drops. Do you remember? I'm sorry. I didn't mean. He cuts her off. You told me you loved me. Jane freezes. She does not remember saying that. But apparently she did. Is it true? His voice is harsh, yet something inside it almost breaks. Jane searches his face. She could lie. She does not want to. Yes. Her voice is barely audible. I do. Reese's expression hardens. You're my nanny, Jane. He looks at her now. My employee. The words hurt more than she expects. I know. Jane swallows. I promise you never have to hear about it again. Reese stands abruptly. His hands go to his head. Pain twists his face. That isn't enough. He turns away. Keeping you here is a betrayal. A betrayal? Jane stares, then understands. Eliza? Reese reacts sharply to the name. His shoulders tighten. Yes. Reese, I know you loved her. Jane fights tears. I understand. I would never try to replace her. But she's gone. You have to let her go. Pack your bags. The command cracks through the room. Jane flinches. Reese, please. Tears spill down her face. Let me stay for the children. I'm not asking you to love me. Just don't send me away. He appears not to hear. Reese reaches the door. I can't bear to look at you. Then he leaves. Jane remains frozen on the bed. The man who just spoke to her sounded nothing like the Reese she knows. Her chest begins shaking with silent sobs. Chapter 27. Jane runs out of the mansion. Tears blur her vision. She wipes them away angrily. There is no time to collapse. Something is wrong with Reese. She knows it. Outside Bill's cabin, she finds her uncle stacking firewood. His eyes widen when he sees her. Uncle Bill. Jane struggles to breathe. Can I borrow your car? What happened? His gaze drops to her tear-streaked face. Jane? Nothing. She wipes her cheeks. I just need to go into town. Bill steps closer. You've been crying. Jane's mouth trembles. His expression hardens. What did he do? She knows exactly who he means. He didn't hurt me. Jane. It wasn't like that. Bill exhales. Look, I know how you feel about him. He chooses each word carefully. But you can't keep hoping that the alpha. He stops. Reese can't be with you. Jane nods stiffly. Of course. He is still in love with Eliza. I know. Her voice breaks. I'm not good enough. What? Bill looks horrified. That has nothing to do with it. He rubs the back of his neck. It's just difficult to explain. It wouldn't be right for him to mate with you. Mate. Jane barely notices the strange word. And after everything that happened here, the fire, Bill looks as if he does not know how to continue. I just wish I could help him, Jane whispers. Bill's face softens. Oh, honey, there's nothing you can do. Grief takes time. He hesitates. And between losing his brother and Miss Eliza, Jane looks up. His brother died too? Bill nods. We don't talk about him. His gaze moves toward Hawthorne Hall. The children already lost enough. Jane thinks about Marcus's scar. They were there during the fire? Reese had to get Marcus out. Bill's voice strains. Sophie too. He looks away. By the time he returned for Eliza, it was too late. He couldn't save her. He had to leave her behind. Bill takes a slow breath. He believes she died not knowing how deeply he loved her. That's why he can't move past it. Jane nods, but her mind is already racing. Rhys was not himself this morning. She knows that. Whatever Eliza is doing to him, Jane is going to stop it. Chapter 28. Jane does not know whether she can find the magician's shop again. She has to try. The drive into town feels endless. She parks Bill's car near the rundown store and hurries toward it. Please. She pushes through the door with her eyes shut. When she opens them, the old magical bookstore surrounds her. Relief barely has time to settle before Jane notices a young strawberry blonde woman glaring from behind the counter. Oh. The woman sounds annoyed. It's you. Jane stares. She recognizes her vaguely. Hi, Yeah, I remember. Jane shifts awkwardly. She cannot remember the woman's name. Iris, the blonde says flatly. Right. Hello, Iris. Iris rolls her eyes. Then, she steps toward the stairs. Adrian! Her voice echoes upward. Your drinking buddy is back. She looks at Jane again. Jane swallows. I'm sorry about yesterday. I don't really know what Footsteps interrupt her. The magician appears at the top of the stairs. His hair is even messier than before. He looks at Jane, then at Iris. Who is that? Iris looks ready to kill him. That is Jane. And what does she want? You spent yesterday with her. Adrian blinks. I have never seen this person before in my life. He sounds completely sincere. Jane clears her throat. Actually, we did meet. You were drinking by yourself. Sounds accurate, Iris mutters. You said you could grant me a wish. Adrian groans. Iris, could you? No. She walks away. You're on your own. Adrian watches her go. She's been angry with me for weeks, and now somehow she's angry again. Jane does not have time for this. You told me the price of a wish was whatever I love most. Adrian looks blank. You said that probably meant I would never see Rhys again. Who's Rhys? Jane ignores him. If I do nothing, I may lose him anyway. Adrian drops heavily into a chair. I'm far too tired for this much drama. It's 1 p.m. He gives her an offended look. Jane continues. My friend Rhys is being haunted by the ghost of his dead wife. Adrian becomes more attentive. She talks to him somehow. It changes him. He becomes angry, cruel. This morning he fired me. From the rear of the store, Iris calls. Maybe he fired you because you spent yesterday getting drunk instead of working. No. Jane shakes her head. He would never speak to me like that normally. We're friends. He cares about me. Her throat tightens. I know he does. Adrian sighs. So your wish is that the ghost disappears? Jane's heart jumps. You can do that? For 1 second she considers it. Simply erase Eliza. Then she remembers Bill. Rhys adored his wife. The children lost their mother. If Jane destroys Eliza without giving any of them a chance for closure, would that really help? I read that ghosts stay because of unfinished business. Adrian raises one eyebrow. Could I wish for Eliza to find closure instead? Jane thinks of the fire. She and Rhys loved each other. The fire separated them. I think she needs to say goodbye. Adrian studies her carefully. If you wish for the ghost to receive closure, then I will give it closure. Jane waits. That means giving the spirit exactly what it wants. No matter what. Jane thinks of Bill's story. Rhys saved the children and was unable to return for Eliza. Perhaps she died believing he abandoned her. Maybe all she needs is to understand how much she was loved. If knowing the truth is what she needs, Adrian says, then she will have it, if you make the wish. Jane closes her hands into fists. I do. Chapter 29. The road blurs in front of Jane. Hope and fear twist together inside her. If Adrian's magic works, Eliza may finally find peace. Rhys and the children could be free. But Jane knows there is a price. Whatever she loves most will be taken from her. and Jane already confessed what that is. Reese. Her hands tighten around the steering wheel. His rare smiles. His laughter. The way his eyes soften when the darkness leaves him. For the first time, Jane found someone she wants to keep. Now she may lose him forever. Still, Reese deserves to be free. If Jane has to disappear from his life to make that happen, then so be it. Her eyes fill with tears. Adrian said he would take what she loved most once the wish was fulfilled. Maybe that means she still has time. I can say goodbye, Jane whispers the thought aloud. At least once. She can see Reese. Tell him what she feels. Then the forest surrounding Hawthorne Hall appears ahead. Jane leans forward. Something rises above the trees. Smoke. Her heart stops. A thick black column twists into the evening sky. No. Jane presses the accelerator. The car surges forward. Smoke grows thicker. She rounds the final bend. Then sees the mansion. Hawthorne Hall is burning. Chapter 30. Reese opens his eyes. The world is blurred. His thoughts barely move. Heat crushes against his body. Smoke fills his lungs. He coughs weakly. Somewhere around him, flames roar. The sound seems distant, almost unreal. Reese tries lifting an arm. Nothing happens. He is exhausted, heavy, unable to move. We can finally be together. The voice is gentle, sweet, familiar. Reese struggles to remember. His eyes move toward a face above him. Long black hair. Blue eyes. Ellie? The name escapes weakly. This must be a dream. Eliza died in a fire. But there is fire again. Smoke. Heat. You left me. Her voice enters his mind. I'm sorry. Reese coughs. I had to get the children out. We were supposed to be together forever. Eliza sounds accusing. Why did you leave? Memory breaks through Reese's fog. Not this fire. The first one. He remembers feeling exactly this way. Slow. Drugged. Helpless. Eliza standing nearby. A candle in her hand. I can't live like this anymore. She had spoken with empty eyes. Even when you're near me, it feels like we're apart. My soul hurts. Then she touched the candle to the curtain. The rug. Everything. You started the fire. Reese's voice is barely a rasp. Memory returns more violently. Eliza, after Cliff died. The way she withdrew. The way she stopped caring about food, rooms, even the children. You drugged me that night. Eliza. A distorted scream fills his head. Stop calling me that. The spirit's voice cracks with grief. You never called me Ellie. Reese does. Cliff called me Ellie. Not you. Reese closes his eyes. The truth he has refused to speak for years rises inside him again. He lied because he was trying to keep Eliza alive. Because she was pregnant. Because he was terrified the truth would destroy what little remained of her. We'll be together soon, Eliza whispers. The flames close around him. Chapter 31. Jane screams before the car even stops. She throws open the door and runs. Flames consume the mansion. Black smoke boils into the sky. For 1 second, Jane cannot accept what she is seeing. Then the heat hits her. The smell of burning wood. The roar. Reese! She runs closer. Marcus, Sophie. No answer. Jane races around the side of the mansion where the flames have not yet spread as violently. Smoke burns her throat. She coughs. Movement appears near the woods. Reese. The figure turns. Jane's heart breaks. Marcus stands alone. His face is streaked with soot and tears. His entire body trembles. Marcus. Jane grabs his shoulders. Where's your father? Where's Sophie? Sophie left earlier with Uncle Bill and Miss Teal. Jane's blood goes cold. Reese is still inside. She turns toward the house. Marcus grabs her arm. Don't go. His voice breaks. Jane crouches and pulls him into her arms. Then he whispers something that freezes her. She told me if I helped her start another fire, she would leave. Jane slowly releases him. What? I didn't want to. Marcus begins sobbing. She kept asking me. Over and over. She sounded so sad. I just wanted her to stop. Jane feels sick. Eliza. Jane had been so focused on the ghost influencing Reese that she never considered the children. This isn't your fault. She holds Marcus's face. You didn't want this. Mom says she only wants to be with him again. Marcus clutches Jane's arm. She says they're fated mates, that they're not supposed to be apart. Jane does not understand what fated mates are. She understands one thing. Reese is in danger. I don't want the alpha to die. Marcus sobs. She made him drink something. He won't wake up. Jane looks toward the fire. Fear threatens to paralyze her. She forces herself upright. Marcus, listen to me. Her voice becomes firm. I'm going in for Reese. You stay outside. Do not come back into that house. Marcus shakes his head violently. Jane, you don't understand. What? Reese isn't my father. Jane stares. He pretends to be because of Sophie, I think, but he isn't. Her mind reels. What are you talking about? Reese is my uncle. Marcus's face crumples. My real father is dead. Chapter 32. Reese knows he is probably going to die. Perhaps that is how things should end. A person cannot outrun death forever. He has already survived years longer than the man who was supposed to be standing here. Cliff, his twin. They had spent their entire childhood switching places. At first, it was a game. They looked exactly alike. Even their scents were so similar that people struggled to distinguish them. For years, almost no one could reliably tell which brother was which. Cliff and Reese shared nearly everything. Everything except Eliza. She had been Reese's closest friend. And Eliza and Cliff could hardly stay in the same room without arguing. Reese never understood it. He loved both of them. Why could they not get along? Then they grew older. And the answer became clear. Cliff and Eliza recognized each other as mates. Reese had been overjoyed. His brother and best friend had found the bond shifters spend their lives searching for. Then Eliza gave birth to Marcus. They had a family. Reese was happy for them. And, quietly, jealous. Cliff had Eliza. A son. A mate bond. Reese had one thing. The position of alpha. A role he had never wanted. Cliff always claimed that if Reese was chosen, they would switch. Cliff was more confident, more suited to command. But when the day arrived, Cliff refused. The role was dangerous. He would not risk leaving Eliza. Still, he promised that when Reese desperately needed a break, Cliff would occasionally take his place. They continued switching. Then came the meeting. A neighboring pack. Nothing unusual. Reese had been courting a woman and desperately wanted time with her. Maybe, finally, he would find a mate of his own. Cliff volunteered to attend the meeting as alpha in Reese's place. He left. He never came home. Reese had to tell Eliza. He remembers facing her and realizing she already knew. The mate bond had been severed. Half her soul had been ripped away. When Reese finally found her, Eliza barely resembled herself. Her face was hollow, her eyes lifeless. Then she looked at him, smiled, called him closer, kissed him, and called him Cliff. That was the beginning of years of silence and lies. Eliza was pregnant. The healers feared grief would kill her, or the unborn child. Whenever Reese came near and pretended to be his brother, color returned to her cheeks. She ate, spoke, survived. So Reese continued. At first, he believed Eliza knew he was pretending. Eventually, he no longer knew what she believed. Sophie was born. 2 more years passed. Eliza never recovered. Then one night, Reese woke inside a burning house. Children screaming. Smoke everywhere. Now the mansion burns again. But the children are safe. At least Rhys managed that. He made Ellie promise not to take them. In exchange, he would pay what she believed he owed. If she wants him dead because Cliff died in his place, perhaps Rhys deserves it. He only wishes for one thing. One selfish thing. He wishes he could see his small human once more. Jane. Chapter 33. Jane runs into the fire. Heat sears her skin. Smoke claws at her lungs. The mansion is collapsing around her. Beams fall. Walls split. The staircase is blocked beneath burning debris. Rhys! Her scream is nearly swallowed by the flames. Jane coughs until her chest hurts. Her wish. Is this what it created? Eliza's closure through Rhys's death? Through another fire? Something huge moves beyond the smoke. Jane stops. An enormous wolf emerges from the flames. Larger than any wolf she has ever seen. Its eyes glow in the firelight. The animal stares directly at her. Something about those eyes feels familiar. Jane has no time to question it. The staircase is blocked. Rhys is above. The wolf lowers itself. Jane understands. She climbs onto its back. The animal launches forward. It clears fallen beams effortlessly and bounds up what remains of the staircase. Jane grips its fur. Within moments, they reach the upper floor. Then she sees Rhys. He lies unconscious near the tower, pale, motionless. Eliza stands beside him. Her ghost glows against the fire. Eliza! Jane climbs down. Stop. The spirit turns. That isn't Cliff. Jane's voice breaks. He's gone. Cliff is dead. Eliza stares. Jane forces herself closer. Your mate is gone. The spirit's form trembles. You can go to him now. Jane's eyes fill with tears. You don't have to stay here anymore. You can rest. Eliza looks away from Rhys, toward the massive wolf that carried Jane. The animal steps from the smoke. Something passes between them. Recognition. Eliza's face crumples. Tears stream down the ghost's cheeks. She reaches for the wolf, then wraps both arms around its neck. She clings to it, and they disappear. Eliza vanishes into the fire. The great wolf fades into shadow with her. Silence follows. Jane runs to Rhys. His skin is cold, too still. Rhys. She touches his face. Please. Nothing. Fire cracks around them. Don't leave me. Jane begins crying. Then Rhys's eyes open. Slowly, a faint smile touches his mouth. Jane. Relief crashes through her. She pulls him against her. I love you, Rhys whispers. Jane hears every word. When she pulls back, Rhys is no longer in her arms. A huge wolf stands where he had been, nearly identical to the one that carried Jane upstairs. Amber eyes look into hers. Warm. Familiar. Understanding hits Jane in pieces. The wolf lowers itself. Jane climbs onto its back. Rhys leaps through the shattered window. They burst out of the burning mansion as flames roll behind them. Wind tears past Jane's face. She clings to him, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she feels free. Chapter 34. Bill pushes open the door of the rundown comic shop. His heart pounds. Part of him expects Jane's story about a magical bookstore to have been the product of too much whiskey. Then he crosses the threshold. The modern comic shop disappears. Old shelves replace neon lights. Dust fills the air. Paper and forgotten books surround him. A young strawberry blonde woman sits behind the counter reading a magazine. She barely looks up. Oh, a shifter. Bill clears his throat. You must be Iris. She shrugs. Suppose I should get the boss. She drops the magazine and disappears into the back. Bill waits. When Iris returns, a tall man follows her. Messy dark hair, an unsettling presence. Something about Adrian immediately makes Bill's wolf restless. Power seems to thicken the air around him. Every instinct Bill possesses tells him to leave. He does not. Jane trusted this man. Bill needs him. Adrian sits opposite Bill. I assume you have a wish. Well? Bill hesitates. Jane told me about you. Adrian raises an eyebrow. If you're here to undo her wish, don't waste your breath. Once I take something, it stays taken until I die. Iris speaks without looking at them. And he's immortal. Bill shakes his head. That isn't why I'm here. Adrian looks mildly interested. Although I'm not sure Jane's wish was particularly useful, Bill adds. Eliza's ghost started another fire and nearly… Excuse me, Iris interrupts. She finally looks at him. Adrian brought the dead brother's spirit back, so he could reunite with the ghost woman. I'd say the wish did exactly what it was supposed to do. Adrian gives Iris a small private smile. Bill feels chastened. Then he continues. Jane told me what you took from her. Adrian waits. Her ability to see ghosts. Bill swallows. It was what she loved most because it allowed her to help the people she cared about. Adrian nods. You're Alpha, I assume. Yes. Bill shifts in his chair. Jane loves Reese. Reese loves her too. His expression becomes troubled. But Jane is human. Adrian understands immediately. A shifter bite could kill her. Bill nods. So could carrying a shifter's child. Exactly. Adrian leans back. So what do you want? To separate them? His voice becomes colder. Bill bristles. No. He shakes his head. I love Jane. I want her happy. He looks down at his hands, then finally speaks the truth he has hidden for decades. About 30 years ago, I fell in love with a human woman. Adrian remains silent. She was married. Bill's voice becomes rough. She wanted to leave her life and be with me, but I knew how dangerous that would be. So I let her go. He takes a breath. Later, I discovered she was pregnant. Bill's hands tremble. I was terrified the child might be mine. He pauses. I found her again. The baby was human. His voice softens. Jane. Neither Adrian nor Iris speaks. Her mother died giving birth. Bill stares at the floor. I told her husband I was a distant relative. I said he could contact me if he needed help. Guilt tightens his face. Then Jane's father died. Social services eventually contacted Bill. They asked if he would take the child. He refused. I told myself she was human, that she couldn't live in my world. Bill closes his eyes. But the truth is, I was a coward. When he opens them, Iris's usual sarcasm is gone. Bill looks at Adrian. No more. His voice firms. I owe Jane the happiness I denied her. He takes a breath. I wish for her to become a shifter. To be able to live safely and fully with Reese. Adrian leans forward. You understand what that costs. I do. You lose whatever you love most. Bill's heart pounds. He does not look away. I'm old. I have very little left. His voice breaks slightly. Nothing matters more than Jane's happiness. Something changes in Adrian's expression. Perhaps respect. Very well. Epilogue. Jane stands at the edge of a field. A wide plain of wild flowers stretches around her beneath the golden light of dusk. There is no ghost here, no unnatural cold, no shadow waiting at the edge of her vision, only summer wind moving through the grass. Everything feels alive. Reese stands farther ahead with Marcus and Sophie. The three of them gather beside a grave. Jane watches quietly. Her senses are different now. Sharper, stronger. She can hear Reese clearly even from this distance. Kids. His voice carries over the field. He draws them closer. This was your father. Reese looks down at the grave. Cliff Hawthorne. His voice thickens. He was a good man. A pause. And he was my brother. Jane listens. Her hearing is not the only thing that changed. She is one of them now. A shifter. She has their strength, their instincts, their senses. More importantly, Jane finally has something she never thought she would possess. A family. Sophie looks up at Reese. Was Cliff Mom's mate? Reese nods slowly. Yes. Emotion weighs down his voice. She loved him very much. He looks at both children. She loved both of you too. And your father loved you more than anything. Marcus remains silent. His golden hair catches the setting sun. He studies the grave for a long moment. Then he turns toward Reese. You're our dad. His voice is soft. Marcus reaches for Reese's hand. Reese takes it. Jane smiles. Warmth fills her chest as Reese and the children turn away from Cliff's grave. They begin walking toward her. Together.